As we start to look at statuary in this period, this is going to be the first to finally break the conventions of the archaic, building on what we saw at the Temple of Aphaea. We start with Zeus, or possibly Poseidon. In terms of technique, he's a bronze statue, and this is going to be the lost wax technique, allowing for hollow casting of a bronze sculpture. So we have an armature, you build it up with clay with the rough details, use wax to add the fine details, and the thickness of the wax is how thick the bronze will be. Then you fire it, melt out the wax, pour in bronze, and bang, you've got an awesome sculpture. Well, hopefully. So what we're seeing here is a bronze sculpture of a bearded god. And by the way, most of the Greek statues that we see that we typically think of as marble are done in bronze originally. We'll get to that a little bit later. Why don't we know who it is, Zeus or Poseidon? Well, it comes down to what is he holding. If he's holding a trident, then he's going to be Poseidon. If he's holding a thunderbolt, then he's going to be Zeus. So it comes down to what was it that was in his hand. Either one would be thrown. And here, just to make life more difficult, he could be holding a spear, which would make him a warrior, or a javelin, which would make him an athlete. Gets tricky. But let's focus on the figure. When we look at the face of this sculpture, whether it's Zeus, Poseidon, etc., we see that he is a little bit similar to that Akkadian ruler that we looked at in ancient Mesopotamia. Although there are a few differences. The face is more lifelike. It is less generalized. The proportions seem to be more accurate, and the beard and hair, while it is stylized, it is more realistic in its stylization than what we have seen in the past. We also get a great sense of motion, this very lifelike or fairly lifelike musculature in the form. Although let me point out, we're in the classical, so certain things are going to be altered. In other words, not as realistic as one might hope. For example, that girdle now is more realistic in terms of its shape, but it's still overdeveloped. It's something the Greeks do on a regular basis. Eventually, they will start altering, for example, the line of the back, the cleft of the back of the spine, and extending it into the buttocks. They will start adding muscles where there aren't necessarily muscles, or building them up to a proportion that is almost impossible. That being said, remember that the Greeks are among the first peoples who actively go to the gym, and probably on a daily basis. It's attached to the baths, and it's an activity that they would be expected to participate in on a regular basis, because these sculptures are largely militaristic. What do I mean by that? There would be hundreds of these sculptures everywhere. You would have them in the market, the gym, the baths, on the street, etc. They'd be all over the place. And what they're trying to do is very similar to the lion gait. They're trying to intimidate the enemy. Look at our people, they are muscular. And in hand-to-hand combat, that's useful. Remember, they're not shooting at each other over hundreds of yards. They're fighting face-to-face within inches. Number two, it encourages the people within the city-state to go to the gym, to work out, to be in shape, so that should war happen, remember, there's no professional army. Everyone is a part of every male is part of the military from 16 to 60. You want those people to be in shape, and you don't know when war is coming, so they need to be prepared all the time. So these sculptures will encourage them to continue to work out so that they're in shape to face the enemy with sword and shield, or javelin, spear, whatever it's going to be, out on the field when called.